Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, and today I got a bunch of guests with us, a bunch of folks. We've got Tara Rout from Regency Encounters. We've got Lisa Chen. She's community manager of All the Places, Adventures League, DM's Guild. We've got Vanessa from the Crafting Muse. She makes awesome stuff. Nerdator Doug is in the house, as well as Nerdarchist Ted. So greetings, everyone, and we are here to talk about a special event that is coming up next year, and that is what could be more fun than playing Dungeons and Dragons, but in a castle. So this is kind of, I guess, your shindig, your gig. Tara, I'll let you kind of lead in and tell people about it and how things came about.
All right. So you might have heard, if you've been following this podcast, about our event last year that Dave was able to join us for at the last minute, D&D in a castle in France with Maze Arcana. They are doing it again with us in France, and that event sold out so quickly that we decided we just wanted to do it again. So we're adding another castle this year. We're doing 2 events of D&D in a castle. And the one that we're talking about today is from June 24th to June 28th in a moated castle in the English countryside. And we are going to have some pretty amazing nerdy DMs at this event that will be leading people through a 3-day campaign, being specifically the guys of Nerdarchy that we're talking to today. So that's D&D in a castle. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's all in the name. It is D&D in a castle, a real legit castle for 4 nights and a solid 3 days of gaming with a solid 3-day campaign with your DM and other games and activities in the off hours. And it's an all-inclusive vacation, basically. Their nerdiest all-inclusive vacation you could have. So that's it.
Now, I'm super excited to be able to do this again. Last year was a blast. It's great to have the rest of the Nerdarchy crew, and this time we were able to actually invite some people to have with us as well. And I've accomplished my goal of filling a castle with people from New Jersey.
Hashtag Jersey Shire, right?
Yeah. It's been affectionately hashtag Jersey Shire.
I mean, we don't want to, preclude or, we want to include everybody that's interested, but having local fans would be pretty interesting as well.
So, well, I imagine the castle's going to be full with people from all over the place because it was last year.
It was last year. We had people from, Canada and the U.S. We're a Canadian company, but we also had people from Europe, people from Australia, and people really from all over joining us in the castle. So it was a really diverse group. It was really neat to see people from all over enjoying D&D together.
Well, we were contacted by one of our fans who actually lives in the UK, and he recently was visiting family here in the States. So he's heard us talking about this, and he is excited to come game with us in a castle. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool gaming in the castle where someone said to me, you say you walk into a room, it's 30 feet by 30 feet, kind of like the room we're in now. But they had memories last year, not just of the castle, but they had memories of the castle as the castle, but they also had memories of the game in the castle, like actual things in the castle actually happening there and where those encounters happened in being in the physical space of the castle. And this is a very cool castle. It is one of the only, if I can just go on about this amazing castle for a minute.
Please.
It's one of the only places you could stay that's an actual moated castle. It's one of the only inhabitable moated castles in the UK, and most of the other ones are in private hands. So in terms of actually being able to stay in one yourself that hasn't been converted to a Super 8 or something horrible like that, it keeps happening. Like having a real legit experience in the castle, and it's just stunning. I mean, it's carved oaken walls and mullioned windows and stone turrets, and there's a moat, and there's a gate and a bridge over the moat. Like it's legit. This is like the real deal. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about the castle. So this is the first event we're going to be doing in this castle, and so it's pretty special.
So from my own experiences with playing in the castle, several of the GMs would at certain points during the games kind of like, tell everyone from their table to grab their character sheet and their dice and like head off to locations in the castle and do like a scene. So I was like, oh, moated castle, that's so cool. Then I was like, oh, we must stay away from the moat with the dice, or the dice will end up in the moat, never to be recovered.
Yeah, but what a story would that be?
Oh my god, we're not supposed to lose players for real.
Not the players, but their dice.
Because we did do a scene in like the gatehouse, and there was a graded section, and someone did drop one of their dice.
Oh no.
I don't know what the moat looks like, but I know that some gaming fanatics are, dice fanatics, and they might be willing to dive in the moat if they really care about a die.
Instead of throwing pennies, we throw D20s. So I'm super excited about this, and I guess for the rest of you, because it'll be your first time doing this, one of the things you may want to think about is looking at, whatever images you can find of the castle to kind of like incorporate that stuff in your games. Because I did find, like, we didn't do a ton of it. Like, Jeremy Crawford's group did a lot of it, and I think Rudy's group did a lot of it. It was hard to tell what Rudy's group, because I think they just played for like 48 hours straight or something ridiculous. They took very little breaks.
I mean, if you look at the layout of the castle and the different rooms, like you absolutely can, take inspiration from them, and then when you're there, as you said, Dave, you can take them and like, okay, here, this is what's going on, and from behind this curtain or behind this object that they can see, you describe the scene that happens. So I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this is a different kind of feel from the castle last year. I don't know if people watching saw the pictures from last year. Last year, it was very much a fairy tale kind of castle. I mean, we kept sort of bursting into Disney songs because it was very Beauty and the Beast. But so this year is going to be a lot more sort of, stone and,
like a fortress.
There was, I do remember a morning Vanilla Ice serenade. That happened.
Well, we have a lot of fun. And the thing about the castle that you don't anticipate, I don't think even we really anticipated, is the kind of magic of just being together for that amount of time, just able to like indulge in playing, like having enough time without the whole outside world and our regular lives being part of it. And there was just such a magic last year that is the most exciting part of it, really, that we just create this kind of family when we're there, and it's really just magical. So I feel like that is a part of the castle that, like things like that, and people serenading each other in the morning and whatever all else. But I just feel so tight with everybody that was there last year, and something really.
Will it run this year the same way it did last year, as far as the kind of like the scheduling?
So we're going to have a bit of a tighter schedule than not tighter, but maybe slightly more organized. We had a hashtag last year, hashtag #1. Yeah. We're still figuring everything out. So I'm hoping that we figured out a bit of the dynamic, a bit of how it works, and so that it's a little bit, we've addressed some of the scheduling things last year. So there's going to be 3 4-hour gaming sessions each day of the 3 main days. So there'll be a morning session, an afternoon session, and an evening session, and those will be 4 hours long. Each DM will decide which of those 3 they're going to play. So you'll play 2 of those sessions with your DM as a campaign session on your 3-day campaign. And then the other session will be the responsibility of our guest friends to run one-offs and whatever other gaming activities that they want to offer for people in the off sessions. So you'll play 8 hours each of those 3 days with your main campaign DM running your 3-day campaign, and then you'll get to do some other stuff. And you don't have to participate in those off sessions if you don't want to, but it's fun. There's also, you might just want to explore the castle or hang out or sleep in or walk down to the village and check it out. There's a village right near the castle that you can walk to. So lots to do, and definitely nobody will be bored, and it goes by so quickly. So yeah, so that's the schedule basically.
Yeah. So yeah, from what I recall was it was breakfast, then you gamed, then you had lunch, then you gamed, then you had dinner, and then it was the night activities. So in this case,
Most people do the daytime gaming sessions as their main campaigns, but Rudy, for example, liked to do the night sessions. So he didn't want to game in the morning. Nobody wanted to get up. His table didn't want to get up in the morning, so they left the morning session free. So, people leave different sessions free. But yeah, it was a lot of more of the sort of ad hoc one-offs and stuff happening in the last year. Yeah. But maybe we can hear about what our off sessions might be like from our guests.
You guys got some time to figure it out, but have you put any thought into it?
I have a couple ideas floating around already.
Well, V, I'm kind of expecting. I'll be a little disappointed if we don't have a Caver's Wall miniature castle on the table.
Yeah. There's going to be. I'm already plotting how I'm going to do the terrain and the miniatures and everything. So I am going to have visuals for my stuff. One's going to be very dark and kind of like Hitchcock, Twilight Zone twisted, and the other one is going to be extremely slapstick comedy, off the cuff type of stuff to kind of give some variety to it. But both are definitely going to have some creative imagery physically on the table.
I haven't done a slapstick game in quite some time, so I would definitely be inclined to go that direction.
Okay, great.
I'm very much embracing this evening sessions in a spooky castle feel, and I also love Ravenloft, so I'm anticipating that mine will be sort of gothic horror, and I'd love to actually incorporate like moving into different rooms and different areas of the castle. That sounds really fun to me. I mean, why not? If you're going to be there, nowhere else you could do that.
And it seems like that's the best way to figure out the areas of the castle we're not allowed in.
Better to ask forgiveness and permission.
They can't stop us all at the same time. Did we mention hashtag Jersey Shire?
I think it's awesome. Oh my gosh, the first time I saw it, I was cracking up. It was just too perfect.
We have to make sure we live up to that. Although it is kind of BS because none of those people are actually from New Jersey. So
no, they're from like what? Staten Island?
Yeah.
Long Island?
So another planet? I don't know.
Right.
Wait. They come and invade our shores.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
En masse.
So I think for the main tables, we haven't quite figured it out yet, but we're probably going to do something that is separate, but we're going to link the storylines together. So maybe we can do something really cool with like a grand finale.
Yeah, I think that'd be an awesome idea. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I was already thinking about that. Of off air, we could totally discuss the different things and have things that are interlocked or interlaced, so that as players are begin talking about stuff, it's like, hey, wait a second, that came up in my game, and would make the stories that people share about the event that much more interesting and appealing for the next time.
Yeah, I'd like to do things where like what one group does affects the other group and things like that. I think that'd be cool, especially to play into like what Ted was just saying. And later that night when they're like, oh yeah, we did this, and be like, oh, that made our game different and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the immersion of just being there and doing.
Yeah.
I mean, like typically when people game, whether it be on a weekly, monthly basis, like I've never run 6 consecutive sessions over 3 days, so like you really get to jam pack the story in a very tight knit time frame. So here you have that perfect opportunity to pre-plan all of this stuff, discuss things and have those stories that intertwine, interlace, and as Doug says, have the effects of one. We kind of have a brief meaning, like, okay, well, this happened, which is going to trigger this difference in your prepared material.
So Lisa, you've run epics before, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys were talking, I'm like, oh, it's like a 3-day epic adventure. That's so cool. Yeah. So in Adventurers League, it might be like a 3 or 4 hour event, but it'll be as many as like 4 to 10 different tables, all playing the same adventure. And what happens at one table might affect another. And that's, I think, the coolest part. Another thing I really like about epics is when there's like a captain from each table and they meet and they sort of strategize. So I don't know if that's something that you guys could somehow incorporate where the people from the different tables, if they know that they're in a shared story, can kind of collaborate in that way, maybe towards the end. But epics are the best, one of my favorite parts of the Adventurers League. So to be able to play one a whole weekend in that setting, that's pretty wicked. Now
Yeah, we might have to pick your brain.
Yeah, no, I was like, I better write that idea down.
I was already thinking
last
along
year,
those
if you
lines.
remember, last year over dinner, people reported what had happened. We had some like storytelling, recounting over dinner last year. So that would be even more meaningful if we were sharing. Or maybe we don't want to do that because maybe there might be surprises that we don't want to ruin. I don't know. I'm going to leave the gaming up to you guys, but I don't know what you guys think about that.
That'd be cool if dinner was like war meetings.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
You get those big tables with the little sticks to push the minis around. And
Yeah. We attack here, here, and here.
I mean, the coolest thing is like, you know, like when we play games, you know, there's research that shows like the games you play are like your real memories. Like, you know, you remember things as if you did it, but this is like a meta version of that where it's like not only that, and then you're also going to have such a memorable experience of where you played and who you played with. I think that's what I'm most excited about.
One of the things too about playing in this environment and doing it this way, it's so like I look at streamers and I'm like, man, I don't know how they game so much. At a certain point, like, I don't know if I'd still want to do it. But when you're in an environment like this, like, that's all that's going on. Like, the outside world, like, almost ceases to exist. And it's just you and this group of people, and you're all kind of doing the same thing. And, you know, even if it's only for a few days, it's like, you know, you don't have a family anymore. You don't have jobs. Like, all that stuff just kind of gets left behind. And it's just like you and this group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. So it's just so immersive. And, you know, without those external pressures, it just makes it so much more enjoyable. It makes me think about being a kid again, like in the summertime gaming, you know, with my friends, and, you know, you do it until, you know, someone's mom produces food or you guys break for food and then come back and just keep gaming.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So
like being a kid again.
Yeah, so you get to.
If I can share a bit of backstory as you guys are talking, the person who's not on this conversation is Cameron. And Cameron is my brother, and we're a brother-sister duo team that puts on this event. So he's not here to represent, but that's okay. But the reason this event happened is because that was his summer every year. He's, you know, a nerd. He played D&D growing up and all through high school, and he had his group of friends that they all would play together in my basement, in our basement, you know, for 48 hours solid, or, you know, from after school Friday till school started Monday, they were playing D&D, all of that. And they actually had sort of a reunion a year or so ago, about a year and a half ago. And that was the inspiration for D&D in a Castle, is that Cam booked a house and said, I'm just bringing you all, I'm booking a house, we're going to play D&D for a weekend. I'm sick of not playing D&D. And so we brought the whole crew, all the high school folk back together, and they played D&D on a long weekend for 3 solid days in a house, locked in a house, playing Dungeons and Dragons. And he just afterwards said, there's nothing like this. You can't pay for therapy like this. You can't pay for this kind of experience. This is amazing. We have to bring this to the world, you know? We have to give people this back. And what we need for that is a castle. So that was how we ended up going and getting a castle. So it's really cool that that's how people are experiencing this event, because that's the inspiration for this event, is to recreate that feeling and that freedom and that going deep and that.
Oh no, there were too many feels.
Yeah.
We lost it to the void.
Nope, back. Slight freeze.
Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean, I just see it with my own kids. I mean, they are chronically running around the house, fully dressed in their character garb, and they're playing it out. So I'm seeing them do this, and I'm thinking, I get to do that in June. I can't wait for it. And it's a gorgeous area, too.
Yeah.
It is. It's packed with castles. I mean, if you want to make a trip of it, if castles are your thing, let me tell you, there are some castles around there. Like, there are a lot of castles in that area. It's close to the Welsh borders, and so that's you know, an area that had a lot of defenses right along the border there. So there's a ton of castle stuff if that's your thing, like within spitting distance somewhere would be. So yeah.
So, Tara, you have a little bit of experience with this stuff prior to D&D in a castle, not necessarily D&D.
Yeah, well, so I do event planning. Regency Encounters is my company, and Cam came on board to help plan and execute this particular event. But yeah, actually, and it was a dream. The reason that I got drawn into doing this is because I've always wanted to do an event in a castle or, you know, a large property in a sort of themed retreat. Nerdy themed epic parties are kind of my thing. So I've been running the Pride and Prejudice Ball for several years, which is a Jane Austen nerd kind of experience. And we just wrapped up our Festival of Witchcraft and Wizardry on Friday, which is a huge festival that my company puts on here in Edmonton with potions classes and buttery beer and Magical Express. We have a lot of non-trademarked items because it is definitely not a Harry Potter festival, just for the record. Because that's a registered trademark, and we definitely are not infringing on any registered trademark. Yeah, so this is our latest addition to our roster is Dungeons and Dragons in the Castle. But it fits with everything that we're all about, because we're all about huge, epic, nerdy, immersive experiences that bring people together in a really exciting and original way that sort of force people to have togetherness, I suppose you would say, and a new experience. So and D&D is totally all about that. It's totally all about bringing that collective, and you can't do it on your own. You have to be a team. You have to work together, and you have to be together and do it as a group. And it's just the kind of thing that we're into. So even though it wasn't originally my thing, it's become my thing.
I can see in the chat that our group here is conspiring to turn it into a LARP.
Oh my god, it'd be so cool.
I didn't say anything about turning it into a LARP. I just said, talking about dressing up. Lisa talked about, having SCA garb. I said that I've done LARPing for years. I've got, the Corral costume on the table behind me, which you've seen in, some of our videos. I've got all kinds of stuff, and I would have no problems, trying to, pack that up across the seas and totally, have the DM part and, walk around and have a lot of fun, dressed up.
I'm totally down for that.
I think it'd be awesome.
Now, I'm just envisioning Ted having like a changing screen next to the table. DMing from it while he's changing.
In order to do that, you'd have to have like the rolling rack with all the different hangers and different things.
You're going to turn into a diva, Ted. He's got a rider.
He comes out in the wrong costume. Oops.
Crap, that's for next
I'll
scene.
totally get some cast. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm down for that.
But yeah, just being in this different environment really shakes it up and really lets you cut loose with that kind of stuff. I've always been a little self-conscious about gaming, so I've never really liked gaming in public places. But when everyone is doing the thing in the castle, and one of the good things about it too is because it's like spread out throughout the castle. One of the downsides of gaming in large groups is being able to hear the noise levels. Well, this it still keeps it kind of intimate to the group you're gaming with.
Yeah, it's like a convention turned up to 11. When you go to a convention, you're among your people. You don't have to feel weird about gaming because everybody's there to game it. And this is like, a level beyond that, because that's all you're doing is gaming. There's no vendor hall to walk around for hours. You're just meeting new people and gaming with those same people, and growing together as a group over the course of the event.
Well, yeah, and the other thing too about the convention style gaming is you have a bunch of people in a small space. So even if you're not loud, it still creates a lot of noise. And me personally, I've worked around heavy equipment for a lot of years, so my hearing isn't always the greatest to begin with.
So typically when you have conventions and there's gaming groups, you walk into a small room, there's half a dozen to a dozen tables, each with 6 to 8 people sitting around it, and they're all talking, and as you step in, it's just this wave of sound. You can't understand anything. So if I'm hearing this correctly, each group has their own section, their own room, so that you don't have to worry about any of that. Is that what I'm hearing?
The castle has about, if I'm not wrong, the castle has about 9 reception rooms or common spaces.
Yeah,
so
it's big.
Tables. So there's lots of space for everybody to have their own space. And we'll kind of figure out a schedule of who's playing where. There's a pretty awesome library, like epic library, and dining room and several sort of living rooms, and there are outside spaces too. It's summer, and I know playing outside isn't always awesome, but for short term, it can be cool to go play on the bridge over the moat, like, so there's lots of common spaces. But yeah, that's how it was in France, and that's the plan for it to be again, is that you have your designated room where you'll be able to set up your table and set everything up and play, and you'll be totally just you, so there won't be bleed from other tables. So it'll be a nice sort of intimate, focused gaming experience for everybody.
So like that's the thing that I think will alleviate a lot of concerns. Is like the last convention I went to that there was gaming all shoved in that one room. I'm like, this doesn't seem all that super appealing to me. I like we're all sitting around a table. I don't have to worry about competing with the DM or the players next to me. So having my own room, they're like, all right, it's just like gaming in my basement. Here's my table. Let's go. I think that sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass when your players are rolling initiative for the combat from the next table over. But no, yeah, and that's one of the things we'll have to figure out is like the schedule. So last year everyone kind of stayed in the same areas, but I think it'd probably be cool to mix that up. Mm-hmm. And like if they're like the epic library area, it'd probably be cool to take turns in there. Yeah. So we could just move the sessions.
I mean, I've just been looking at pictures. This thing is not small.
No.
So
not at all.
Plenty of room for everybody to move around and stuff. It's huge.
I wonder if we can get that moat stocked with alligators before we get there.
I saw the kind that look like they're like floating at the top, or they're just foam. You see them in your pool.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be hysterical.
So like I would totally say that we could take a look at the available rooms for us to game in, pre-plan what overlapping things we want to do, as well as plan like where we want to have like each session room wise, so that it would be a little bit more challenging on the players to be like, okay, well, I got to look at the schedule to find out not only where or not only when, but like where my table is this session. But I think it could be a little bit more appealing overall if you're using those rooms to their maximum extent.
Well, to that end, it's actually easier than you think, because what one of the things that like ended up happening that I liked and didn't like at the same time was when we would break for meals, like the groups would stay together. So it would make it really easy, but it also meant you were kind of like it formed these cliques, not like in a bad way, but in the sense like I went out of my way to just go sit with other groups during the meals and stuff just to meet other people and kind of say hello.
But it's going to be different when you're the DM. Like, like if you're going to go hang out with another group, are your players going to be like, dude, why is he dissing me? Did I do something wrong?
No, absolutely. It will be different being the DM. But, and that being said, like, I just, humans, they're just kind of like cliquey and clingy by nature. And you've just spent, 4 hours hanging out with these people. So you're starting to get comfortable and familiar with them. So it's just kind of a natural thing that kind of occurs. Now,
Go ahead. If you guys are going to have like a shared story, though, that maybe that helps.
Yeah.
It gives them something to talk to the other tables about and want to talk to them about, because maybe they'll get clues for their game.
Yeah.
And we're also planning something that we noticed, as I said, last year was year one. We took a lot away from it in terms of how we could even make it better. And one of the things that we have decided to do with all of our castles is have a sort of arrival and welcoming ceremony / event kind of thing. So that, because when we had it in France, it was amazing. People arrived, they were stunned by the size of the castle. It was really enormous. And, that was cool, but we felt like we kind of missed a moment there. We missed an opportunity to have a moment of arrival together and a shared experience of arriving at the castle, and a sort of initiation, not in the sense of like doing weird stuff, but in the sense of just feeling like now we're here, we've arrived, and now it begins. So what we've decided to do is that our whole event is going to start in a tavern. So you meet at a tavern, and from there you get there might be some session zero kind of stuff happening at the tavern. There'll be some entertainment, some food, and there'll be some meet and greet kind of stuff. And then there'll be transportation from the tavern over to the castle, and then there'll be sort of a welcome banquet kind of thing at the castle on the first night. And we'll have some activities that night, so to get people sort of together and getting to know each other, not in an uncomfortable, awful kind of way where you're forced to play party games, but we got a couple ideas up our sleeves about how we can sort of get the atmosphere going and get that sort of community happening, from the start, so that you feel a connection to more than just the people at your table. Because that is true that last year people just came and then they went to bed because we were all exhausted and had jet lag, and then in the morning we went to our tables, and that was sort of it. And we did have meals together and stuff, and we heard each other's stories, and there was some sort of crossover, but it really was sort of fixed with your table. So we're trying to expand that a bit this time. And the great thing about this particular castle is it's a little bit smaller than the other castles. So there are only 3 tables. So it makes it kind of intimate. It makes it possible to know everybody there. It makes it possible, coordinating 3 tables is different from trying to coordinate, 20 tables or something really big. So it's going to hopefully be more of a sort of intimate, really tight-knit sort of family feeling at the castle. That's what we're working on anyway.
That sounds awesome, and also I don't even mean like the way the group stuck together in a bad way either. It was just familiar, and also like I guess worth bringing up is the meals were amazing at the castle. So hopefully we get that level of culinary delights once again. But that was definitely an awesome part of the experience.
Well, that was
worth mentioning. We're having. I'm just actually dealing with caterers right now, so I'm just planning the menu. So if anybody has input, now would be the time to say we would really like to have pie, or I don't know what you want to have, but we're. It's all. I should just mention it's all inclusive. All the food is included at the castle, so that includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all day coffee, which we need. I can also say. Castle is in a hotel, so the last castle is sort of an in-between, and the other castle that we're doing in England next summer is also a hotel. But this is just a self-catering castle, which means you can bring your own. So if there's anything you want to bring, or you want to bring your own drinks, you're able to do that at this castle. It's kind of a little bit more flexibility than at the other castles. So that's something. But yeah, if you guys have any input into what you'd like to see for the meal plan, definitely send me your notes, because we're just planning that right now. But yeah, we're gonna have some really good food. Lots of great sausages. That part of England, well, all of England really, but really good sausages going on. But we will also have really good vegetarian food. Very important that all dietary requirements can be accommodated. So we'll have great vegetarian food, and if you have allergies and stuff, it'll all be professionally catered so they can accommodate anything. So
that's awesome.
Definitely, we want to be inclusive of everybody.
Looking at these photos of the town, I remember the last time I was in the UK, what I liked about it so much, it's just like a regular suburban town, except on this side of the street, there's a castle with a moat.
Yeah, what about this surrounding area to the castle?
It looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks like it's country-ish, but there's like a little village around it and stuff.
It's kind of like your classic English village out in the countryside area of things, which, leads to the whole immersion of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
It really is a shire.
Yeah.
But it's also very convenient because it's about 45 minutes, I think, from Manchester. So
it's not too far away. So you're still
very easy to get to. And Stoke-on-Trent is about 10 minutes away, and that's a decent-sized town too. Yeah. So if anybody needs anything, I mean, they shouldn't. It's all inclusive.
Crazy night in a big city.
From my experience with the castle, there is no time to really. Unless you're going to come early and leave late, there isn't really much time to do too much outside of the castle itself. That fully occupied me anyway.
Yeah, I think people thought they would have time for that. And yeah, I totally agree. There isn't. It's more if you want to come early and explore the area or stick around and make a longer vacation of it, that there's definitely lots to see and do, and good transportation links and stuff like that. But yeah, once you're in the castle, you're just in the castle. There's no point going anywhere. You're in a castle. Why would you want to go?
Why would you want to? Yeah.
it's always amusing that when I travel for conventions or whatnot, and I talk to people who are not into D&D, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going here, and like, oh, you got to check out this and you got to check out that. I'm like, I think you failed to understand. I'm going to a convention. Like, there is going to be more than I can properly consume within the event itself. Like, Gen Con was in Indianapolis, and it's like, oh, well, you got to go check out this place and that place. And I'm like, no, why would I want to go look at cars? I'm going to game. I'm going to see nerdy stuff.
Well, especially Gen Con. Gen Con is almost like a city unto itself. So,
Yeah.
Even getting outside of that. In France, when you walked outside of the castle, it was literally just this tiny little village. And
where nothing was open. It was like a ghost town. So it was much more isolated. That castle it was cool that it was isolated, that there was nothing. You just drove for miles and suddenly there was a castle and you could see the spires poking through the trees and the countryside, but there was nothing around it. There was just the castle. And this is a little bit like that, but it is a little bit more connected to civilization.
So the tavern part sounds really cool. That's a great idea for that,
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
first night, for the kind of like the meet and greet.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect, really, when you think about it.
So when you brought up that that whole intro, I mean, doing things in a castle, to me that seems very, very formal and regal. And if you're trying to get any costumey type stuff, like you could totally do like a opening ceremonies with flags, and you could have whoever either yourself or your brother kind of being like in charge as the king or queen. You could do that whole thing and have it be like a welcoming ceremony, very very military or whatnot.
Yeah, we've got some ideas about those kinds of things, and we're following up dinner with something we're calling the Barovian Ball. So that would be a great time to get out your costumes and your masks. I love that reaction.
Yeah.
I'm glad people are as excited as I am about a ball. That's so cool.
That's so cool.
I think Lisa and I might be plotting as we get closer. That sounds so cool.
We're going to all have to take formal ballroom dancing classes before that.
Oh, been there, done that. I can't wait. Let's go.
No, I mean, balls are what I do, right? That's kind of my hallmark, is our Pride and Prejudice ball. So I was really excited about being like, ooh, I can have a ball. I can make a ball. Like, we can do this. This will be so fun. But we won't make it ballroom dancing. Don't worry about that. If anybody's like, oh, I'm not coming, I don't waltz. Like, don't worry, there won't be ballroom dancing. There might be something, but it won't be anything that requires any actual dancing skills. So
This castle was built in 1275.
Yeah.
Wow.
The older ones.
That's like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that anymore, that's for sure.
No, they really don't.
My house is like 15 years old and is already falling apart.
Right?
You
need to get a license to crenolate your house like they did.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone
good luck
should
with
do
New
that.
Jersey licensing practices. Jeez.
Yeah.
So right now you have like a couple castles going on. Like, how is this going to be yearly? Are we looking to expand this to like multiple times a year? What is the eventual plan here?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Just buy your own
We're rolling
castle
the
and go
punches here.
24/7.
We've got a castle. It filled up. The response was amazing. We had the castle last year. It was a total experiment. We had no idea if anybody was going to come. We had no idea what was going to happen. We got way bigger names for DMs than we had ever anticipated. I mean, we thought like Cam was going to be DMing with his friends, and here we had like Jeremy Crawford running a table. And we're like, wow, what is even happening? Like, we didn't even know. It was all kind of a surprise to us as well. There was a point where we were like, are people going to sign up for this? Are we going to, there were a few rocky moments, and then it started to fill, and then it was sold out, and then we had a wait list. And so we ran the castle, and we gave advanced registration to everybody who was at the castle last year for this year's castle. And 75% of them came back. Actually, I think it ended up being more because we had then a couple more at the end. So I think it was like 90% return registration. So the castle was immediately full. And then there were all these people who wanted to come. So that was why we decided to add more, to give more people this opportunity. So we're just kind of rolling with it and seeing what happens. I mean, I think our dream is that we would own the castle and we would just live there, and that people would come and play our castle. But I don't know if that's actually a realistic dream.
Well, I mean, come on. What gamer doesn't want to own their own castle? I mean, that's just,
Cambridge Ball only costs £3 million.
Yeah, we can all pull in and just do something with that. Why not?
But so next year there's going to be 3 castles. So you guys have expanded from 1 to 3. And you said there's people going to all 3 castles?
Yes, we have we have several people that are doing 2, that are doing the Maze Arcana castle the first week of July, and as well as the Nerdarchy castle. And then we also have people who are doing the Maze Arcana castle and a 3rd castle that we're working on that hasn't been announced yet. So there are potentially going to be 3 castles, and we have people who are going to be in all 3 castles. They're so excited about playing D&D Castle. They're doing it 3 times that.
The thing that I find most amazing about that is that anyone has that much vacation time.
Getting back to the reality when it's all over. My God.
Yeah.
You need to decompress for a couple days.
Seriously, coming off of the castle is a thing to plan for, though, because I'm telling you, seeing reality again is like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so defenseless. There's no castle walls protecting me. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be in a castle with a moat. That's going to be pretty amazing. So,
me a castle.
Fortunately, I don't think there's a lot of alcohol at these events, or we'd probably end up with people in the moat.
Yeah, going for a quick swim.
Hashtag Jersey Shire.
Yeah.
I should say a note about alcohol at the event. As I said, you're welcome to bring your own. We do like to remind people that some people, to be sensitive about people who might be in recovery, just a note to make. And that this is not, I think we all know if you are don't have your whole brain, you might have a difficult time playing. You know what I mean? That's not the culture of and I think people know that, and that's not what people are coming for, but it is worth noting. We do like to be sensitive about people who are in recovery, and alcohol isn't included. It's the only thing that isn't included in the registration costs. But we will have an option for people to buy drinks with the meals through the caterers. And also it's, as I said, walking distance from a village for people for that as well. So but I should say a couple things about the registration process just while we're here, and I've got a few seconds to do that because that's kind of maybe helpful information.
Shoot. And links are in the description.
So you basically, everybody, the registration is a fixed cost, and that includes all the gaming and all the food and everything. And then you choose your accommodation level. So there's different options for accommodation, and those are separate. So that's how it works. And to reserve your spot at the castle, you just pay a deposit, and that's refundable. So you can reserve your space and then figure out what you're doing, and then choose what room you want to stay in and stuff like that. And then we invoice you for the rest. So that's how registration works. In case anybody's wondering about how to get to the castle. And right now registration isn't open to the public just yet. We are collecting our mailing list for people who want to come to the castle. So add your name to the mailing list at dndinacastle.com. So go to dndinacastle.com and add your email if you want to get first dibs on registration, because we're going to send that to the mailing list first because it did sell out very, very quickly last time. So you'll get priority on registration if you're on the mailing list. So go there and sign up for that.
And those links are in the description as well. So you can go check out the website and the page there and take a look at what, all the images and the cool stuff that is going on. And even if you're not coming, you might want to follow along to see what's going on. Follow D&D in a Castle on all the social media sites, so you can see all the cool pictures at the very least.
As well as the individuals that that we have here that they're going to be sharing their own prep stuff and their own insights into it as well.
Absolutely.
Sadly, with that note, I do have something that I need to take care of. So I will see you all later. Thanks for hanging out with us, and Have a good day.
Later, Ted. Stay nerdy. So, with that, do you know who is going to be hosting the last castle?
The Last Castle is a group called the Uncommon Trust. So they are a group of DMs and actors. It's as a group, they're fairly new, but they've all been a while. Off the top of my head, I know it's B. Dave Walters and Sam DeLev and Ash Minnick is involved. And I'm going off the top of my head, Poisel. D'Artagnan, I don't know how to say his name. I've only seen it written down. D'Artagnan Mataliano. And a couple of others who are going to be insulted. Mark Meir, who's one of my countrymen, and a few others. So they have formed a group called the Uncommon Trust, and they're going to be DMing in the third castle.
That's fantastic.
From July 7th to 11th.
Yeah.
I just want to be like a Deadhead now, but instead of going from Grateful Dead concert to Grateful Dead concert, go from castle to castle, playing D&D.
Seriously. That's an option.
Oh my God. People who wouldn't want to leave the last castle, they're going to lock themselves in. And
We're not coming out.
No.
Just keep booking. We're adding another week. As long as people want to come, we will make castles. That's basically the plan. As long as you keep coming, as long as people keep coming, we will keep having castles. We just love it. So
prepared to withstand the siege.
Yeah. Incoming.
Bar the doors. So this is so exciting. I want to thank you guys for inviting us to host our own castle. This is going to be amazing. We're going to have such a blast. And thanks Lisa and V for joining us.
Thanks for the invite. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So excited.
Me too.
So I'm huge fans of both of you. So this is going to be amazing. Hopefully, occasionally there's an opening in one of your games so we can slide in.
Cool.
One of the things we found that last year was a lot of people just did a bunch of pickup games too. So there was DMs running at night, but then there was also players that are like, okay, I want to run something. So I'm sure there'll be games all over the place.
That's awesome.
So
that definitely was a thing last year. It was very ad hoc, sort of very off the cuff last year, but everybody was excited to do something. Yeah, there were lots of offers and people doing lots of fun stuff. So
Jeremy Crawford had done basically a live Sage Advice, which was really cool.
Oh.
So that was fun to sit in on. One of the organizers, Jay, had helped you guys out, and he was running games every night. So there was definitely a lot of cool things going on in the evenings for sure. And I was actually surprised. There was alcohol there, but not that much. People were just into, the gaming and D&D and just talking shop and being amongst their people.
It's that natural high of just being with like-minded, and you got the adrenaline and the excitement going for you. Who needs it?
It was in France, and there wasn't wine all over the place.
Right?
There was wine. There just wasn't as much as you would have thought there was going to be. So, yeah. So it was definitely a good time. I know Cameron was trying to get in at least one game of D&D in the castle, and he epically failed. And I blame his friends because several of them set out to make sure that he played D&D in the castle, and they gathered up way too many people to play D&D, and so they ended up with 18 people sitting around the table. GM Tim was like, all right, I'll run something, but I wouldn't call what he did D&D. It was more like improv with a D20, and then he had me, James Intercosto, and one other guy. Oh, darn it, I forget his name. Now I feel bad. Basically, act as NPCs. It's Cameron's friend.
Lauren,
yes,
Lauren.
The one that plays guitar. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. There's a song floating around from the castle as well that those guys wrote and sung and recorded at the castle.
Oh wow!
It is on YouTube somewhere. Lauren is a real life bard.
So Are you saying that the guy who organized it, your brother, didn't actually get to play D&D in a castle?
That's right. That's why we had to
Oh
do
my
it again.
Oh,
He failed, but he did make the dream come true for a lot of other people. So
Well, that's pretty selfless. So you gotta
Yeah.
get props for that.
That's event planning. You know, I plan events because I want to go to them, but I never get to go to them. That's not how it works. But yeah, that's why we had to do it again, so he can play D&D in a castle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's going to be 3 different castles, so I imagine he's going to make it happen at least one of them.
Well, I bloody well hope so.
He's going to have to bring a disguise kit and just slide into one of the games and make it happen. So, at each of the castles, are you guys planning like kind of like that pub night?
Yes. Yeah, we'll have a kind of a welcome ceremony, and there will be some kind of puzzles involved in terms of you have to get into the castle and you have to solve certain things to get through the gates. I won't reveal more, but yeah, there'll be a kind of gaming puzzle element to the welcome as well.
Now I'm getting a little depressed. Now I just see myself sitting outside of the castle looking in longingly as I can't figure out the puzzle.
It'll be fine. Everyone will get into the castle. Nobody is sleeping in.
So kind of like the opening ceremonies, are you guys doing the same one at the 3 castles, or do you kind of have a different plan for each one?
They'll probably be slightly different. Well, they're 2 different castles too, so the setup is going to be different, and the sort of the facilities make a difference in how the grounds are laid out and what we can do. We might be able to execute certain things at Caver's Wall that we can't because of the hotel, and there might be stuff that we can do at the hotel because we have different things available to us. So it just depends what's available to us, but it will be the same kind of basic structure. Same kind of basic idea. You meet at a tavern. There'll be, a tavern, some music, some food, some puzzles, and some kind of storyline that gets you into the castle, and then transportation to the castle
So
in some form. Then some kind of welcome.
Whose idea was it to meet in a tavern?
That'd be Cam's. That'd be Cam's idea.
It's brilliant. And I just feel like now I really want when we start our
and there
games.
were tons of taverns in the UK, so drowning in taverns is some serious pubs. Seriously good pubs around, so why not?
It's a tried and true trope and done to death, but I want to do it at least one more time now.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a lot of fun. So it would be kind of cool to do the session 0 at the tavern, kind of like, because you're meeting in a tavern. Why not?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the other castle, I know some of the DMs are involved in the welcome ceremonies, so they might not be able to run their session 0 at the tavern. But certainly, we're encouraging the DMs to get that going. Because the other thing is people underestimate the jet lag and how tired you are.
Oh God, yeah, that first day's rough.
So it would be great to arrive a couple days before. It starts on a Monday, this castle. It's Monday to Friday, or the 4 days. So you can definitely have the weekend in England to sort of land and get your sea legs, as it were, or whatever, and adjust a little bit so you can not be quite as exhausted when you get there and start to play.
Just stockpile sleep beforehand.
I wish it worked like that.
That's how it works.
I don't imagine it would work anyway, because you're going to be in another country and be like, oh, I'm going to do things instead of relax. That's a good idea too, like to kind of show up early and kind of scout out the castle and last minute changes to anything that we might have planned as DMs.
Yeah,
I will definitely have to figure that out, and I think I'm going to have to get another passport. It's time.
Yeah, I have to do that too.
Yeah, definitely. Could everybody please get their passports?
Yeah, that's happening.
Not be able to leave the country. Like
that's going to happen by next week.
Yeah, that was one of the things going to the last castle.
There was a drama last year. Yeah, I mean, last year Cam almost didn't make it back into the country. So he's Canadian, and he works at Google, and so he couldn't. He had some issues with leaving the country and coming back. He did get back in; everything was fine, and his visa was valid, and he was permitted to get in the castle. But there was back into the country. But there was a worry that there would be a misunderstanding or something, and he almost missed his flight on the way back because the people he was ride sharing with slept in, and we were trying to find them, and it was very dramatic. There was dramatic travel stories around the castle, but we all got there and we all got home, and everybody made it, so that was a bonus.
Yeah, last year for me going, because I was at it last minute, it's like, is my passport still good? And it was, but I'm definitely. But I think it expires just before the castle this year, so I'm going to have to renew. But with that, we're right up around the hour mark, and I'm really excited about the castle and hanging out with all you fine folks. And if you're watching this now or in the future, stay tuned. We're going to have more details. You can find the links in the description to go check out the information. And, even if you're not going to go, I think it would behoove you to follow along with everyone here, especially D&D in a Castle, because you're going to get to see all the cool pictures. And, I don't know if there's going to be video coming out of there, but I'm sure there's going to be plenty of great media you're going to want to follow. So with that, you know what? Everyone want to just go through, say who you are and where people can find you. I'll start with you, Lisa.
I am Lisa Chen. You can find me at Merciful DM, MERCYFULDM. I'm a D&D writer, community manager for the Dungeon Masters Guild and the Adventurers League. So if you want to see some cool D&D stuff happening, give me a follow and check this stuff out.
V?
I am V, and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse, where I show people how to make terrain, scatter, paint minis, game accessories, and all that fun stuff. I'm also a regular player over on Mini Terrain Domain Monday and Tuesday nights, where I'm playing a Waterdeep campaign on Monday, Sunless Citadel on Thursday. And you can find me on Scraticus on Twitch as well, where I'm doing a really cool D&D in space type of game. That's a really fun one. I like that one a lot. And you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well.
Awesome. Tara?
I'm Tara, and I'm the founder of Regency Encounters, which is the host of D&D in a Castle. You can find us as D&D at D&D in a Castle on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and also Regency Encounters on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm also an author of Jane Austen style fiction. I write under the pen name Melanie Kerr. So I'm just throwing a little shout out there if there's anybody else here who happen to have a little crossover interest, that you can find me in my books as Melanie Kerr on Facebook and melaniekerr.com.
That's awesome. You guys pretty much know where to find me, and Doug is usually hanging out with us. Doug, you can find at Longshotist.
Yep.
Over on Twitter, and of course over on the Nerdarchy site. He makes us look so much smarter. So with that, until next time, everyone, stay nerdy.